Hello everyone. Today we're working on Module 2, Lesson 23, and we are still dividing 3 and 4 digit dividends by 2-digit divisors. Let's start off with 6,247 divided by 29. I want to make my estimate first by rounding my divisor, and I'm going to round it to 30. And a compatible number that would be easily divisible by 30 would be 6,000. I can think of this as 3 tens, and of course 6,000 is the same as 600 tens. And 600 divided by 3 is going to be 200. So my estimate will be about 200. So I'm going to move on to the solve part of my problem now. 6,247 divided by 29, and I'm going to use my estimate over here. 2 doesn't really look much like a 2, but I'm not going to write the whole 200 down, but I'm going to put the 2 in the hundreds place. And 2 times 29 is 58. And of course this is 58 hundredths. 62 hundredths minus 58 hundredths will give me 4 hundredths left over, and I'm checking to make sure that this number is smaller than my divisor, and it is. So then I'll bring down the 4 in my tens place, and now I have 44 tens. So I want to know how many times 29 will go into 44 tens. Well, I know that 2 times 29 is 58, so that's too large, so it must be only one time. 1 times 29 is, of course, 29, and 44 tens minus 29 tens will be 15 tens left over, which it seems like a fairly large remainder. It's a 2-digit remainder, so I'm going to check up here again, but it's okay because it's still less than 29. So finally I'll bring down my 7, 157, and I'm going to think about how many times 29 will go into 157. I'm going to have to use some more estimation. So I'm going to round that 29 to 30 again and think of it as 3 tens. And 157 is, of course, 15 tens plus 7 ones. So 3 will go into 15 5 times. 5 times 9 is 45. I'll carry that, oops, I'm going to put the 4 here, carry that 4 over, and 5 times 2 is 10 plus that 4 will equal 14, and I'm running out of room down here on my screen. So I'm going to have 12 left over once I do my subtraction. 157 minus 45 will give me a remainder of 12. Now it's time for my check. So I'm going to multiply the whole number in my quotient times the divisor, which is 29. And I'm going to have 2 partial products because I have a 2-digit factor on the bottom there. 9 times 5 is 45. And 9 times 1 is 9, plus that extra 4 will be 13. And 9 times 2 is 18, plus that 1 is 19. And now I'm moving on to my second partial product, and this is a 20, not a 2, so I need to put a 0 in the ones place. 2 times 5 is 10. And I'll carry the 1 over. 2 times 1 is 2 plus that 1 is 3, and 2 times 2 is 4. So I'm going to add everything together now. 5 plus 0 is 5, 3 plus 0 is 3, 9 plus 3 is 12, carry the 1, and I have 6,235. And of course, my last step is to add in my remainder of 12. So 5 plus 2 is 7, 3 plus 1 is 4, 2 plus 0 is 2, 6 plus 0 is 6. So I come up with 6,247. I'm going to check and make sure that is the same as my dividend, and yes it is, so it checks out. So now I can write my answer up at the top. 215, remainder 12. All right, now it's your turn. You're going to divide 9,962 by 41. Please make an estimate, solve it, and check. Your answer should not be in decimal form. It should have a remainder. All right, let's try another one. 4,289 divided by 52. So the first thing I want to do is round that 52 to 50. I am going to find a compatible number, and I think that 4,000 is easy to do in my head, and I'm going to think of this as 5 tens. And of course, 4,000 is going to be 400 tens. And so 400 divided by 5 will be 80. So I know that when I set up my problem, that 8 is going to be in the tens place. So 4,289 divided by 52. Now I've done my estimate, so I know that the 8 goes in the tens place. But another way to think about this is, will 52 go into 4? No, it won't. Will 52 go into 42? No, it won't. Will 52 go into 428? Yes, it will. So I know that my my first digit of my quotient will be over that 8 in the tens place. 8 times 2 is 16, and 8 times 5 is 40, plus that 1 will be 41, so for a total of 416 tens. And when I subtract, I have a remainder of 12, which is fine because it's still smaller than my divisor, 52. Now I'll bring down that 9 in the ones place. So I have 129. And it looks like 52 will go into 129 two times, because 2 times 50 is 100. So 2 times 52 is going to be 104. And when I subtract, 9 minus 4 is 5, 2 minus 0 is 2, 1 minus 1 is 1. So I'll have a remainder of 25, which is a fairly large remainder, but it's okay because it's still smaller than 52. Now for my check, I'm going to multiply the whole number in my quotient times my divisor, which is 52. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 8 is 16. I'm going to move to my second partial product, which is in the tens place, so I should have a 0 in the ones place. I don't want to forget to put that 0 there. 5 times 2 is 10. I have a 1 to carry. 5 times 8 is 40, plus that 1 will be 41. Then I'll add my two partial products. I get a 4 in the ones place, a 6 in the tens place, 2 in the hundreds place, and a 4 in the thousands place. So on to part 2, 4,264 plus my remainder, which is 25. 4 plus 5 is 9, 6 plus 2 is 8, 2 plus 0 is 2, 4 plus 0 is 4. So my answer to my check is 4,289. I'm going to look up here and see if it's the same. Yes, it is. So I'm going to write my answer up above. I've checked it. I know it's ready to be the official answer. Okay, we have one more type of problem to do. So this one is going to have a 0 in the quotient. So I wanted to make sure I showed you what that looks like, because sometimes it's very confusing for students when they come to a problem like this. So we'll work our way through this one, and then you'll do your last quiz problem. So 6,649 divided by 63. Now, for this one, I can see that 6,649 is actually really close to 100 times 63. So I'm going to go ahead and keep my 63 the same and just round 6,649 to 6,300. And so that's, of course, just 100 times 63. So that will be my estimate. So when I write the problem down to solve it, I'll have 6,649 divided by 63. And it looks like I'm going to have a 1 in the hundreds place. And if another way of looking at it, of course, is thinking, well, 63 go into 6? Nope. So I'll put a 0 there. Will 63 go into 66? Yes, it will. So I'm going to put a 1 above that 6 in the hundreds place. 1 times 63 is 63. And when I subtract, I have 3 left over. And I'm going to bring this 4 down from the tens place. So now I have 34 tens. Well, now I see that 63 will not go into 34. It's too big. So I need to put a 0 in the tens place. And then once I do that, I can go ahead and bring down the 9. Now, some students like to multiply 0 times 63, and if you need to do that to stay in your rhythm, you may. Personally, I think it's very inefficient, but if you need to do that step to help you stay on track, by all means do it. Either way, what we're going to end up with next is 349 ones, and of course 63 will go into 349 ones. And it looks like it will go about 5 times. So 5 times 3 is 15, and 5 times 6 is 30, plus that 1 that I carried over will be 31. And when I subtract, 9 minus 5 is 4, 4 minus 1 is 3, so I have a remainder of 34, and I'm just going to check and make sure it's smaller than my divisor, because I noticed on the Ed puzzle last night, many of you ended up with quotients that were too small and remainders that were too large. So I want to double check and make sure my remainder is smaller than my divisor. And it is. So that is good. So now I'm going to do my check. And that will be my the whole number in my quotient, 105 times 63, which is the divisor. And 3 times 5 is 15. So I have a 5 in the ones place, and I will put that, a small one, in the tens place to carry over. 3 times 0 is 0, so I'm going to add that 1 I brought over to the 0. And 3 times 100 is 300. So my first partial product is 315. Then my second partial product, I'm going to put a 0 in the ones place. 6 times 5 is 30, so that means a 0 and a 3 carried over. 6 times 0 is 0, so I can bring that 3 down and add it to 0, and I get a 3. 6 times 1 is 6. So I have 6,300 as my as my second partial product. When I add those together, I get 6,615, and of course my last step is to add in my remainder of 34, and 5 plus 4 is 9, 1 plus 3 is 4, 6 plus 0 is 6, and another 6 plus 0 is 6. So 6,649. I'm going to check and see if they're the same. They are. It checks. And I will write my answer up above now that I'm sure it is the official answer. 105, remainder 34. All right, here is your last problem for the Ed Puzzle Quiz. 2,409 divided by 19. Don't forget, you need to do all 3 steps. Estimate to figure out where to place your first digit. Solve. And last but not least, check. Make sure that the answer to your check matches up with your dividend. If it does not, go back and figure out where you made your mistake and fix it before you write your answer on the Ed Puzzle Quiz. Make sure that your remainders are not larger than your divisor, because if they are, that means that the divisor can go into your number one more time. Good luck, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.